What's up, everybody? We have an extra special episode for you here today because this episode happens to be numero 100, a century, if you will. And Mark has just finished crushing a monster. He hasn't had any other food prior to this, so we're going to see how that works out for him. But across the table for Mark and I, we have Reuben, frequent guest many times prior to this. We have Ryan Muckenhirn, also a frequent guest, and Erik Barber, who is now checking the nutrition label on that Monster Energy drink that Mark has been indulging in. So MC Ryan over there is going to be running a countdown clock because what we're going to bring to you guys is almost a, for any ESPN fans out there, it's a similar theme to Pardon the Interruption. We have a series of 10-minute talks that we're going to be bringing to you. And this little screen over here is going to tell us how much time we have left and when we've gone over and things like that. And we're just going to keep rapid firing a couple of great topics at you. Might talk a little bit about some great cartridges, grilling, 3-gun, and CWD. So, you know, there's a big teaser thrown out there.
All things that go together.
All right, MC Ryan, I'd say you can probably kick this thing off, and then we're just going to, we don't actually know the order exactly of the topics right now, so we kind of have an idea, but...
Spin the wheel.
I'm getting nervous. Topic 1, make the 30-06 great again. This one has been near and dear to all of our hearts around the office. It's one an idea that we've had for quite some time now, discussing how great the 30-06 is. Ryan, you frequently join us for 10-minute talks about cartridges. Why don't you kick us off on the etymology, if you will, of the 30-06?
The year is 1903.
Oh.
A cartridge adopted by the United States military, the 30 US, or 3003 as it was called, needed an improvement over the 3040 Krag, which was an improvement over the 4570. 3003, round nose bullet, kind of a different propellant burn rate, improved in 1906 as the 30 Government Model 1906, abbreviated 3006.
Gosh, can you imagine if they never improved it? We'd be saying 30-03, and it doesn't sound right.
Yeah. Originally chambered in the 1903 Springfield rifle, which was a bolt action. Then later into the 1917 Lee Enfield, and then into the forever famous M1 Garand semi-automatic battle rifle. One of the most successful cartridges of all time. Spawned some phenomenal cartridges from it. We did a talk on the 25-06 cartridges like that, the 270, the 280,
27-06,
the 308.
The 308 eventually, yep. In the form of what was called the T65 and then the 308, basically shortened version of the 30-06 to somewhat duplicate the performance in a smaller, lighter package. I think as far as big game cartridges go, if somebody were to call up and say, I need to buy one rifle, it's all I can afford or all my wife will allow me to afford.
300 Wisdom.
Would be the 30-06 Springfield.
Mark. We talked about this ahead of time. Come on. We're
the
only 2 minutes into the episode. Oh, jeez.
Continue.
Who gave him this?
Jekyll and Hyde over there.
In terms of versatility, it is the probably most versatile cartridge out there. You can load it down with lightweight projectiles. You can load it up with heavyweights. It has taken all big game animals on the planet. There was a gentleman, maybe he's still alive, that took them all with the 30-06.
Didn't Teddy Roosevelt or his son or something use a 30-06 and a pretty sweet lever gun? They went on some crazy African safaris and such.
The 1895 Winchester would then later be chambered in 30-06, as well as a smattering of other cartridges. TR, what's the word for icon and then sensationalized? Immortalized the 1895 in 405 Winchester, which he dubbed his lion medicine. It was a great rifle. And then later chambered in 30-06, was a great option. I don't think TR had anything to do with that, but
no, my bad.
Yeah, that's good.
He would. He would have. Though.
He would have.
Yeah,
it would have made
because
sense.
he said, "Speak softly and carry a big stick."
It's a big stick.
Speak softly and carry a 30-06.
Why does the 30-06?
Yeah.
Why does the 30-06 get such a? I'm going to say it right now. It gets a bad rap for being just sort of a big. It reminds me of like somebody talking about the old IROC Z, or something like that. It's a big lazy V8. That's what a lot of people describe it as.
I think
inaccurate, sort of just, a little bit hillbilly, kind of just 30-06.
I think when things are good, people look for things to complain about, right? Because things are good. And so, if we look into the 50s when we started getting some pretty fast stepping cartridges hitting the scene, or even further back than that, the 20s and 30s when like Holland & Holland came out with their Super 30, or otherwise known as the 300 Holland & Holland. It did things better than the '06 did at the time. And then fast forward, we've got the 300 Win Mag, the 300 Weatherby Mag, the 7 Rem Mag. We get into Magnum Mania into the 70s and 80s. And it looks on paper like kind of a slouch and really an anemic cartridge. Fast forward now to modern propellant and bullet technology, and we have in front of us a box of Hornady Superformance factory ammo. We're pushing a 180 grain GMX bullet. So what's cool about this, it's a homogeneous bullet design, 95% copper, 5% gilding metal. So like go through any bone you could punch it through.
Okay.
We're pushing this thing at 2820. So we are well into the realm of 300 Win Mag as far as horsepower is concerned.
That is faster than my 6.5 Creedmoor shoots.
Oh yeah. And now we're into a cartridge that is offering you the bone crush benefits of a 300 Win Mag or 300 Wisdom for Marco in a far more palatable cartridge. So it's not going to beat you up as much in a lighter rifle, in a handier rifle.
Don't need to use a Magnum action.
No.
And you can flip over rocks in many countries and find 30-06 growing naturally.
Yeah.
And
which countries are those? That sounds like a great place to live.
Right, exactly.
America.
I mean,
America.
Whether
I was looking for morels, and all I found was
30-06.
30-06 plant.
And some people would walk by that and think, well, it's just '06.
That's just.
I think Ryan, part of it, it's not new. It's
No.
not. It's not new.
No.
It's not hot. It's not sexy.
But maybe that's what makes it sexy now.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
everybody's forgotten about it. So if you go and shoot 30-06, you can be the new
retro.
retro sexy.
Well, and like you said, Ryan, talk about versatility. Load it down, load it up, small bullets, big bullets. I mean, I would feel confident shooting this particular load at anything on the planet up to, I'd say, 500 yards. Maybe not brown bears at 500 yards, but I wouldn't hesitate to shoot a brown bear with a 30-06.
Can I ask real quick? So I know one of the knocks it gets against it from people who, shoot the 308. You can get the 308 in a short action, right? And this has to be a long action,
Correct.
if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of people, they say, essentially it seems as though if you can get it in a short action, absolutely do. Because the long action, they just, long action sucks, whatever. Is that just because it just takes like a half a second longer to rack the bolt?
I've heard so many different arguments for a short action via long action, from it takes me longer to cycle the bolt when the whitetail is charging, to the action is going to flex and there's like a higher degree of accuracy to a short action.
That sounds made up.
You can short stroke it, or I mean any number of things. I want to point to a rifle that I'm very fond of, the Tikka T3. Very popular rifle. I know a lot of guys that own a lot of them. I own a lot of them. They're all the same action length. It's long.
Wait a minute, even the
short action ones.
Yep.
The short action ones are long.
They're all the same action.
Same.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And so with that being said, like, well, that was a moot point. Moving on. Let's look at a really good cartridge.
I got another point I think that goes into why a lot of people have maybe would look at a cartridge that was developed a long time ago and point out why maybe a 300 Wisdom is better than this or something like that. If you look at a lot of the cartridges that are coming out today, we'll talk 6.5 PRC, 6.5 Creedmoor, any of the new Nosler cartridges, right? I think that when you look at a cartridge like a 30-06, we're looking at a rifle that's probably chambered in a 12 twist, an 11 twist.
Yep.
And as barrel twist rates, people are finding out that a lot of the times a faster twist rate is better to stabilize the bullet. There's really not any negative side of that unless you start pushing a really lightweight bullet really fast, in which point you could have a jacket come off and jacket separation. So I think a lot of times you might look at this cartridge and say, okay, 180 grain bullet, that's pretty heavy. If you were the type of guy that's into long-range shooting and you're using like an applied ballistics software or something, they might tell you that a 10 or 11 twist isn't really stabilizing that bullet enough. Now, you look at a cartridge that comes out like a a 300 PRC or a 300 Wisdom or something like that, or 30 Nosler, they might not be pushing the same bullet, that much faster. But since it's a new cartridge, firearms manufacturers are only twisting that barrel in a very specific twist for that bullet. So when people look at something like the 30-06 and say, well, it's not a very good long-range cartridge, well, it's probably not a great long-range cartridge if you're shooting in an 11-twist barrel. I just built a 308 in an 8-twist.
Which is shooting basically the same bullet. Right?
It's shooting the same bullet, but it's stabilizing it better. So
interesting.
Anything that's in a new cartridge is probably going to be a faster twist or a more modern twist rate, like a 243 and a 6 Creedmoor. Me and Ryan talk about this all the time, and we're down to pretty close to the end, but they're shooting the same bullet at the same velocity.
Right.
Every factory rifle off the shelf right now in 6 Creedmoor is probably a 7.5 twist versus every factory 243 is probably a 10 or 11 twist. Maybe if you get lucky, it's a 9 twist.
Right.
And now manufacturers of ammunition are also not going to shoot to push the limits on the ammo. You shouldn't shoot Superformance in your 1903 Springfield,
right?
Because the pressures are higher. You should shoot in a modern firearm. So when you look at some of these new cartridges, might not be that the cartridge is that much better. It just might be that ammo manufacturers are speccing out the SAMI spec for the pressure and the twist rate and everything like that with those firearms manufacturers for that new modern cartridge.
So go for it, Mark.
I was going to say, I've got one more quick comparison. So I took pick a very popular cartridge nowadays.
6.5 Creedmoor.
Yes, sir. So, Ryan, I compared some Hornady ammunition here. I've got the 30-06 loaded with a 178 grain ELDX and a 6.5 Creedmoor loaded with a 143 grain ELDX. Drop at 500 yards, which I think is a very responsible hunting distance.
Okay.
44.8 with the 178 grain out of the 06. 44.4 out of the 6.5 Creed.
Is that inches or mils or?
Those are inches.
Boy, that would be excessive mils to drop at 500 yards. I didn't think of that before.
So you're looking at a difference of 0.4 inches at 500 yards.
That's it.
Yeah, and it boils down to it's not only inches, but it's also the recoil and the energy and how it does pass that distance for target shooting. So nobody's bashing it. It's just
that's fair.
That's fair. Some things are designed for a reason.
All right, we've already gone a minute over on our first one. MC Ryan, let's cue up the next one. And here we go, the moment of truth. What do we have? Will CWD turn humans into zombies?
Yes.
Yes. Do
Next
you guys
topic.
think so? Eric, you have some thoughts on this. You've been in the realm of the, what do we say? Can you say it? Are you allowed to say? You've been in the realm of the DNR in the past.
In the chronic world.
You have talked with many different folks with many different, the chronic, opinions on CWD and how it will affect all of us.
When's your new album come out?
Next week.
So,
Dirty Rick.
what are the thoughts out there? Like, what are the differing opinions out there? Because some people, why is CWD such a touchy subject? Can we talk about that first?
The reason I think that it's such a touchy subject is there's so little information available out there about it right now today. So it's a disease that's been on the landscape for decades, but the research that we're in the infancy stages of finding out more about it. There's a lot of studies right now that are going on that are maybe 4 or 5 years deep that still can't draw definitive conclusions for years and years into the future.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years deep isn't that long for a study about a disease nobody knows anything about.
Especially when you think about how long deer have been on the landscape and in areas where, like here in southwest Wisconsin, where we just have so many of them on the landscape. It also becomes an issue of not only biological proportion, but also sociological proportions. So people have their own thoughts about deer management, how they want to manipulate that. Everyone wants to shoot their deer. We're on the doorstep of gun deer season here in Wisconsin, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be going to the woods wanting to put a deer in their freezer. And if the solution to better monitoring CWD is reducing the number of deer on that available for harvest, people are obviously going to have a passionate reaction to that. So with that in mind, there's just a lot of unknown. We need the best thing I think that we can do as a hunting community is contribute to that research. So get your deer tested. It's a free service. The state agencies are taking, I think it's like a $80 to $150 hit every time they do a deer test, a CWD test. And that's free of charge for you as the hunter. So take advantage of that. That's free money in your pocket.
And when you see a deer with CWD, they basically do it's like deer zombie.
They look no different than a healthy deer.
Well, depending on what stage
Depending
of
on what
progression they're
stage.
in.
Yep.
Okay,
So let's
all right.
focus on that buck that you killed last year. Because that one was, you made a
Fantastic
really
example.
good point with that deer.
Yep. So that was a deer that I shot on opening day of bow season. You wouldn't be able to look at that and point out any differences from that one to, any other deer that you would have seen. Looked totally healthy, very plump, round-bodied, fat, mature buck. And
How was he acting when you shot him? Very much like a normal, I don't want to die deer.
Yep. So, and the crazy thing about that is it doesn't exhibit its shown characteristics until the last, the very end. So it takes about 18 months for that incubation period to finally come out and ultimately result in the deer's demise. And up until that very end, the deer acts very normal. It might lose a little bit of weight in those last few weeks and kind of start to droop its head, salivate a lot. But for 14 out of that time frame, the deer is going to act very normal, and that's the tricky thing when it comes to identifying these animals. So that's why you've seen a lot of I don't want to say culling, but tactics where it's just shooting a lot of deer, issuing a lot of excess doe tags, and people obviously react to that because that means there's less deer out there for you and I.
So what you're saying is probably a lot of people out there have shot deer and just probably gone about their entire regular process of processing it, and probably have even eaten CWD.
Probably.
Deer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think that probably happens
if you
all the time.
take a look too, it's like the species barriers. One of the biggest concerns is, right?
Yep.
Can it jump to a different species? And that's the big unknown.
Yep.
Is it going to jump to different species? And I think currently there's really no evidence that it can, but there's also not any evidence that it can't. So that's a big concern. And so to go to your point, Jim, a lot of people are eating it because they don't, and they don't know if they're eating it. But the testing is not mandatory right now in Wisconsin. And so if you go to a meat processor and you drop off your deer and they're like, do you want to test it for CWD? And you're like, I'm not worried about it. I don't care. They take your deer and they clean it up on the same equipment that they clean up the guy who's like, oh, yeah, I'm super worried about it. I want it tested.
Yep.
Oh.
And then when you get sausage or jerky or anything made from that place, they're taking bulk. Most places, I won't say all of them, but most places are not going to take just your 22 pounds of scrap off of your deer or trim.
Right.
They're going to take all of those people that came in. Some wanted their deer tested and some didn't want their tested.
Batch
They
grind
put it in a big batch and they grind it all together and they say, okay, Jimmy ordered 10 pounds of summer sausage and 2 pounds of brats and this, and they go in the freezer and they grab it out and they put it in a bag for you. It's not a boutique meat processing process anywhere that I know of unless you go to a very specific place that says you get your deer back.
Right.
Oh, wow.
You're going to
did
get
not
your own
realize that.
steaks, you're going to get your own chops and your own roasts, but you're probably not going to get your own meat.
Yep.
So you're dealing with the guy who didn't want it tested. Too.
Exactly. And really, today, we're dealing with an entire lifestyle change. Deer hunting's been around for over 100 years. And in that time frame, we haven't had historically worried about, okay, I shot this deer in northern Wisconsin and now I'm taking it across the border to Michigan or Minnesota, whatever. That never really used to be a concern. Now there's laws and rules that are being put into place that are literally affecting the way that we as hunters have to act. And anytime you take a change, whether that's in the hunting world or in your day-to-day routine, and make it abruptly different, it takes a while for you to get accustomed to that, and that's one of the biggest challenges that we're dealing with right now.
Well, I'd say, like you said, hunting in particular is wrapped in tradition, right? People have a way they like to do things, a way they know how to do things, and when you make a change or any changes, heck, I dropped a carcass off in a designated deer dumpster today. That's it's intended purpose is to limit, CWD, potentially infected parts on our landscape.
How does that work? You just dump it in a dumpster? Did you process it yet, or no? You just dumped the
So yeah, I
full
processed the deer and then all of the bones and that went into the dumpster.
Okay.
And that's different. I mean, I've been deer hunting since I was 12, I guess. In Minnesota, we can start hunting. You can join an adult that's hunting at that age. So I'm 31, so it's been a little while. And the fact that we're dropping carcasses into dumpsters is bizarre.
It is.
But that's one thing you can do as a hunter to help, stop the potential spread.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just it. And,
It's a
to
low
Eric's
price to
point
pay.
earlier, when I go in the woods, I want to see deer, I want to shoot deer, I want to eat deer, but I think we do need to recognize that this is an issue. Now I'm probably getting super preachy, so my apologies. But as hunters, we like to call ourselves conservationists, right? And as much as I want to see deer and shoot deer and eat deer, if the science said we need to reduce the number of deer on the landscape, I would be for that, for the deer.
Yeah. If somebody told you right now, the proliferation of the species will continue indefinitely without negative impact if you hung it up, or if you kept going, they're going to go extinct. And
I wouldn't like it, but I'd have to say yes.
Correct. And that's what it means. And I think the hard part for me is when I hear guys say well, I'm going to be dead in 40 years or 60 years or whatever, so I don't care. I don't care.
Oh yeah.
And that's not a good approach to this, because it's not up to us to get to say just screw it. We don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, what does Doug Duran always say? It's not ours, it's just our turn.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Now with a minute and 20 left, guys, we do have to ask ourselves: will it? Let's say it does become, it carries on, it gets even worse. Will it turn humans into zombies?
So
because you have you've had Ebola, you've had mad cow disease, you've had bird flu, swine flu.
I've seen
things.
28 Days Later.
So
I just watched that.
It won't
and
be
you know what it
World
made me
War
think of? CWD.
It won't be
In
World War
ESPN
Z.
style, we need to everybody has to say their opinion.
It won't be World War Z. It'll be World War CWD. Mark, you're up.
All right, here's the deal. Has it jumped the species barrier yet? No. Or at least not that we're aware of, right? And I'd say no. If it does, we've got big effing problems. Big.
Yes. Eric.
It already is in the deer world. It just hasn't hit us yet.
Cooper even touched noses with that one deer, didn't he? Is he fine? The dog?
He's fine.
Cooper the dog? He's fine?
Dude, I don't want to create pandemonium, but I would say end of the world.
All right, Ryan.
Will it turn
Nobody panic. We're all going to die.
Will it turn people into zombies? If it's real, yes. As it turns deer into zombies, it'll turn people into zombies too if it jumps a species barrier.
Yep.
Rube.
I don't think it'll turn people into zombies, because I've seen a lot of different diseases in deer, like EHD, blue tongue, whatever. They don't turn into zombies. They just die, and it's a slow, painful death, and it sucks. And it's like any disease that you get at the end phases, you're just going to die.
Well,
But
okay.
Here's the
all right.
zombie thing, right? Do the deer come back to life after they die? No.
How do we know that?
Okay. Well, how do we know? That's right.
Zombie's
That's the question.
undead, comes back, starts biting people. I've watched all the zombie movies.
That's a
okay?
cliffhanger.
And on that
It
note,
doesn't. You just die.
cliffhanger.
Just
Come
effing
back.
dead.
Come back for the sequel. Okay, MC Ryan. On to the next topic. Let's see what we got.
Blood pressure is up.
This is very exhilarating. What's your dream 3-gun setup, or what is your 3-gun setup if you didn't have a budget? This one came up. It was a listener request because we did, with Dave Hartman of the 3-Gun Show, we did a special where we did the Classifieds 3-Gunner, where we basically went through and tried having a designated budget, tried to build out a full 3-gun setup on the relative cheap, if you will, but one that would do the job. Of course, we have Reuben here, big 3-gunner. Ryan, you've done some 3-gunning. Eric has done some 3-gunning. I have. Mark, you haven't. But anyway, let's discuss. Rube, you might be the best person to start, but we'll all pitch in on this. If you had unlimited budget, what are you doing for your 3-gun setup that's going to be so special?
Buy good gear from good manufacturers, whether that's a good pistol from Hayes or any number of companies, Atlas, STI. There's a lot of good pistols out there. There's a lot of good shotguns out there. You got Dissident. You got guys like Mark Roth.
Fancy AK shotguns.
You got all kinds of good shotguns out there. So buy good gear. Buy a good rifle. Use a good barrel. buy good ammo. But I'm going to take this in a different direction. I think one of my biggest things for a dream 3-gun setup goes back to when me and Ryan were shooting a lot of 3-gun together, and I think it goes into your vehicle that you drive, the gear you bring with you to be comfortable on the range. Yeah.
Okay,
that
well,
kind of stuff.
Explain that. How does the vehicle you drive,
so
what does that have to do with your
the dream 3-gun setup doesn't just mean the guns.
It's the shoes.
It's being able to buy good ammo, and it's the shoes and a good belt.
The shoes?
Yeah, you go through shoes like you wouldn't believe.
Okay.
We're going to go back in time to the introduction of the Salomon Speedcross 3 onto the 3-gun platform.
All right.
Because we were all out there running around with combat boots on.
Yeah. Really not good for fast movement and changes of direction.
You know that scene on the Sandlot when Benny's talking about the Converse All-Star, or they weren't called Converse All-Stars.
They were just called
some
Converses.
Yeah. The Speedcross 3, to Reuben's point, took a mediocre 3-gunner and made him semi-pro.
Strapping
Just
on
by
a pair of those.
simply putting on those shoes.
That alone, what you had better grip, lighter weight,
Made a kid
better.
Jump
run
higher.
faster.
Run faster.
True story, though.
Okay.
Might as well have
All
been a
right.
cape.
And you're saying a better belt? What does that hold your
Yep,
pants up
good-
and all your
good
stuff?
gear, yeah, holsters and mag pouches and caddies for your shotgun shells. Buy good magazines, buy good base pads, but also look at stuff like your rig that you're going to matches in.
Yeah, you got to
Do you
talk
have-
about that because
you
now
gotta-
I'm interested.
It's you see guys driving up and they're like pulling everything out of a little car. And it's just not ideal. You want to be able to work out of this thing.
You want to have is the ideal 3-gun thing. Now here's the question.
You
A
need to
lot
do
of
work.
3-gunners push their gear around a little baby cart, right?
Yeah, that's part of it. You
And
need
so,
a good cart.
So now are we also saying that not only are you going to be pushing around a baby cart at 3-gun matches, but you're also going to be showing up in a minivan?
I'm talking
no.
And
about
then
F-350.
and then what next? Are you going to be showing up with like
Yeah, maybe like a rattle, maybe a binky.
Look, okay.
Now they're just poking
And a
fun
car
at us.
seat.
Sometimes it boils down to the fact that happy wife, happy life. Okay. So make sure you got a place with some nice seats, a spectator area with a little tent for your wife and kids to come watch you, or for your husband and kids if you're the wife that's doing the shooting. Whatever it is, I don't care. You want them to be comfortable because otherwise you're going to get home and it's going to be late and you're tired because you've been sprinting all day on the 3-gun course. This is all encompassing.
Eric is actually
okay?
writing notes.
We need a
You
good
just wait.
vehicle to work out of. I would suggest something like a mid-sized SUV to a pickup truck with a topper, somewhere in that region. You can do it out of a Mini. It's not.
Yep.
Topper's a good thing.
Topper.
My dad built
Sawyer and I
toppers
were
for
just talking
35
about
years.
toppers.
Man, I'm so
Yeah,
adamantly
you need
2 hours
opposed
ago.
to
Okay.
toppers.
And a lot of people look at these things and they're like, I can do it out of my Corolla. You can do it, but you can't do it well. Okay. You're going to want to make sure you got a good vehicle to work
Good
out
for
of.
your 3-gun rig.
What about
If
one of
you're
those
renting-
deck things? Have you seen those deck
I got a
things?
deck.
Oh,
I got a
man.
deck. They're great.
That seems
And
like
you
that
should
would be
work
good
out.
for those
It's great to
sorts of-
work out of, and you also got to have a place to keep your snacks. I'm going to recommend a good cooler. You want a good cooler, okay? Some of the best matches that I've ever shot, it was because I traveled with somebody that knew what the F they were doing.
What-
They got a cooler, and they got peanut butter and jelly in there. They got, you name it, ham sandwiches. Oh, you want a Gatorade? I got a Gatorade for you. Oh, you don't want a Gatorade? Well, I get just water.
Here's a
Okay?
monster.
all BS aside, a lot of what Reuben's getting at here is really gear management and
Yeah.
how it pays off, and truly like how it pays off for success on the course because you shoot for a very small amount of time.
Hold that thought. I got to interrupt for a second. Okay, so Ryan's holding that thought. Okay, you
He's
can
very
buy
good
a
at freezing.
Dissident KL12, which is a $4,000 Kalashnikov type shotgun, right? Like,
right.
undoubtedly the best shotgun you can buy right now for open division.
Ryan, you can breathe.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
But you
God,
can
you
shoot a
almost killed
match, and these things are race cars, okay? That you need to take care of it. So you get done shooting your stage, and you come off, and you don't have a place to clean that gun. I mean, day 2, have fun, because it ain't gonna go well if you're not cleaning your gear, and that's not just any shot. That's every piece of gear.
Okay.
So you need to have a place you can gear management.
And that's why I can't 3-gun.
Because I'll
Because
say
I'm not going to clean my fire.
I'll say this. I can relate. Like when I work in the garage, a lot of people are always talking about fancy tools and stuff. Almost all my tools came from Harbor Freight. But what I would so much rather spend money on is like some dream garage with like the most amazing tool cabinet that somehow is like a iRobot Roomba thing that follows me around the garage. And
Wally.
when I set down a socket that I know I'm going to lose in 15
10mm.
seconds, it picks it up and puts it right back where it's supposed to be and then follows me around with it. I would spend so much money on that, so much more than I'd spend on the socket set.
There's so many parallels to that, though. You look at a good backpack and like your system that you carry hunting with you, and like, I mean, I've got like 4 or 5 pouches that fit inside my backpack. I got a kill kit. I got my food kit. I got this kit, that kit. It's all organization, and it all makes your life so much better. And I'm not an organized person.
It's exactly what RJ was getting at, because like I can remember when we started 3-gunning, it was like 3 rifle case, a shotgun case, a pistol case. You had like a backpack full of all your crap, and it was just thrown in there haphazardly. And I think when you look at the guys and gals that are separated from the rest of the pack, that are truly the alpha class shooters, everything is organized, orderly, and there's redundancy in it to a responsible point. I'm not telling you go out with 30 PMags preloaded because you're going to have so much gear you're not going to know what to do with. But when you get done with your stage, like RJ says, you go back to your mobile command unit, you've got a repair kit for your rig on hand, or you have everything set up so you set your gun down. You don't have to monkey with it. It can't fall over. It's orderly. You've got pre-loaded magazines. You've got everything set up so that you can spend more time on stage management and stage planning. And then when it comes down to grabbing your implements, they're all right there.
One of the biggest things about competitive shooting is the developing your own mental management system. And you can read guys like Lanny Basham, or you can read Brian Enos. They got whole systems on mental management systems, on how you develop how these steps go in your head. And so one of the big things about competitive shooting is it's a big adrenaline boost for a lot of people. So you get up there and you don't realize it, but like your nerves are going crazy and everything. And the biggest things that have happened to me over the years and Ryan actually helped get me into competitive shooting. So like he'd be talking more than I am, but the one of the biggest things that I've done to, you kind of have this fast growth. You shoot your first match and you kind of suck sometimes. And then your second one, you're twice as good as you were your first one. And then as you go up, this curve kind of has this diminishing returns as you get better. And now instead of trying to shave 20 seconds off of a stage, you're trying to shave a quarter of a second off of a stage. And the biggest things that have been a flop for me as a competitive shooter are when I get up to the line and I go and like turn on a dot and my battery's dead because I didn't have a scheduled maintenance regimen of when I'm going to change my batteries. And then I'm like, does anybody have a battery? And I look back. You want to see people who are
and you're not thinking about the stage.
Yeah, no, you're not thinking about the stage.
That's
now,
out the window.
You have mental capacity, right? It's like a gas tank. If you fill it up with a bunch of crap that doesn't matter, you don't have room for any gas. So you want to be able to be completely focused on shooting that stage and performing at a very high level without thinking about like, oh, my shoe's untied.
Oh, I forgot my pistol at the hotel.
One of the
now I know why he was writing so many notes.
Yes.
So, and that goes with anything. I think that goes with hunting. I was out in Colorado elk hunting this week, and like the Western hunting thing for me out of a backpack is like completely new, and so getting out there and realizing that like as soon as you're getting like ready to you see an animal, you're like, oh man, like I did not have my system planned for getting my Kestrel and looking up my dope, and I didn't have the atmospherics gathered on it. Like I was just like, I had all the gear and I had everything like as it should be, but I didn't have any system for how I was managing that gear and making ready for a shot. And so there you have a potential for missed opportunity, whether you're competing or you're hunting. Buy good gear, but have a system of managing it.
Well, I think building those systems, trial and error, like going out there and doing that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the only way to do it is to do it.
Yeah, if you're on the gram, there's some really organized peeps out there. Dylan Easley, Nick Miller, Daniel Jurasic. Those guys not only post videos about shooting, but they post videos about their organization.
Interesting.
I'm glad this went that direction.
Yeah.
Erik, it's not the pistol you use, it's just remembering to actually bring the pistol to the match.
That's exactly what I got written down in my notes.
Bingo,
Don't
bango,
forget
bongo.
the pistol.
Checklists, maybe.
Lovely.
Oh, yeah, I have books. I bring with.
Can I tell you my dream 3-gun setup?
Okay, what is it?
It involves
Whatever your sponsors give you.
Well, yeah. It involves the AR that I still need to finish building, and then
you have a 300 Wisdom AR. We just got to make it. We got to make it work right.
Well, with that one or the one I haven't built yet, either then I probably won't go.
All right, MC Ryan. On to the next topic. On that note, What do we got? What type of grill is best?
Yes.
We have many different theories around the table. I know about this. And so why don't we kick it off? Because I know I like charcoal. Reuben likes the old Traeger, the pellet smoker, right?
Yeah.
And what else do we got? Mark, Eric, Ryan, what do you guys like?
I'm going to introduce you to a really...
I know what you're going to say.
Mark's a
First of
propane
all-
guy. Mark likes it all to just
I'll
be...
burn gas, baby.
Listen, here's what it comes down to. We can all
Releasing them
recall the late
dinosaurs.
90s, early 2000s.
Releasing them dinosaurs.
A really integral part of my life is from Texas, and specifically Arlen, Texas, and specifically Hank Hill. And if Hank Hill had one thing to say, it was taste the meat, not the heat. Propane. And propane accessories. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Propane and
Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby.
there's propane and
Oh. I think the best grill is the grill that you have on hand, or Tokyo Grill, because they have good sushi and hibachi.
Okay, Eric, you use a little smoky. You're with me on the charcoal side of things, okay?
So,
Go.
Okay, best grill is outside, covered in snow right now. It's a little smoky. It doesn't have a bottom. Everything kind of seems to fall through. It's covered in snow. I think if I might have mentioned
Yeah,
that.
rusted out.
Rusted out. Here's the thing. Like you mentioned, put your meat on the grill, cook it to around 120, 125 degrees, pull it off, and you're done.
Disclaimer, Eric is referring to red meat, and
Yes.
if you eat chicken undercooked, you are in no way, Vortex is in no way liable.
Yes.
And if you're making a hamburger, Google it.
Although there are some
165.
thoughts, there are some thoughts out there that some people say the FDA recommends that chicken is actually overcooked too much frequently.
You ever had a medium rare pork chop?
See, these are some of the things I've heard people
Okay.
say, and it's like you freak people out when you say that, but
So a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of times, if you think to yourself like, oh, I'm going to this restaurant, they got the best steaks, or they got the best chicken, or whatever. A lot of cooking meat is based on just temperature.
Oh, I know where
You
he's going.
don't need your flavor of the smokiness or your flavor from like a charred flavor on a charcoal grill or something like that.
or like a seasoning.
Yeah, it comes very quickly. It doesn't take, you don't have to do that. So a lot of times, and I would say most of the time, when you go to a restaurant, like a nice sit-down restaurant, like an Applebee's or something, a nice sit-down restaurant.
Oh yeah, that is.
Yeah.
tell
Jeez.
you what,
Just kidding, just kidding.
Can you make this more relatable?
They're fall off the bone
Okay.
ribs. It
All
doesn't
right.
get better than
If you go
that
to
in
a
my
really
book.
good local McDonald's or something like that, if you go to a nice restaurant, most of the time the steak that you buy is cooked in a bag in water. It's called immersion circulating. It's basically a sous vide method of cooking where they're taking that meat, they're putting it in a bag with all the seasonings that they want on it, and they throw it in a tub of water. It's sealed, so it's not just boiling, but they're getting that meat up to a certain temperature. And then when you order your steak and you say, I want medium rare, they go to the 127.5 bin and they pull a steak out and they cut the little plastic top off and then they throw it on the grill and sear it for 30 seconds on each side. And that's how you get like a perfectly cooked steak
Oh,
or
so
a
you're saying
perfectly
that's
cooked
the
chicken
good.
breast.
That's the good restaurant.
Yeah.
That's doing
Yeah,
that.
yes, exactly.
That's
And
why when
so-
you
First, I was weirded out because I'm picturing in my head
No,
like
no,
the
no,
plastic
no.
bags like you see when they microwave crap, and it's like,
Well,
there's
like
a lot of restaurants do
Pull
microwave.
the top off.
That's what I'm picturing.
No,
But
no,
no,
this
now I
is-
get you're actually
yeah.
describing something that's actually quite high quality.
And so, which
And they're
type
just,
of grill
they're
is
just
best?
leaving it in there, kind of like
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
indefinite.
but
not
which type
indefinitely,
of
but-
grill is best?
In my
Forever.
my opinion, the type of grill that's best is the type of grill that lets you get to the right temperature for how you want your meat cooked.
Now, how do you know what grill does that? Do you want a
Pick a
really hot? Do you
side.
want a really hot grill, or do you want like how do you do it on your Traeger? Because here's the thing: I used to have a Traeger, and I could only get it up to on a good day 450. 450. Well, okay, so it had a 450 knob, but I'm not gonna lie, I never got there.
Yep.
But how do
Traeger.
you? But it's fine. Not at Traeger, Eric. We don't want enemies. We don't want enemies. I love the grill. But I found that when I switched to charcoal, I can get that thing cranked to like if I basically leave the lid cracked a little bit and leave the exhaust vents both open, top and bottom, I get it where the thermometer is all the way around to 800.
Yeah.
And then it comes
And
back and goes
You want
800.
you want to try something new? Take a hair blower or hair dryer, cut a little hole in the side of your grill and stick that in. You'll be able to get up to about 1200.
And then we can cook our meat to the CWD or what am I trying to say?
CEA.
Yeah,
No.
The FDA.
FDA
FDA.
recommended temperature
It
for
has
CWD infection.
jumped
9,000
the species
centigrade.
So
Yeah.
how do you do it then with your Traeger where you can get up to like let's say 400?
Yeah, so if we're talking about searing or grilling, it's two different things.
Oh.
so we do the dealer experiences, right, with the customers. We bring them in, and they come and get to do some shooting and spend some time at Vortex. Well, so Travis Vogel here is kind of our new, like our resident chef. He's a formally trained chef, and he's doing all the meals now for our customer experiences. And one of the fan favorites right now is like ribeye.
Yeah.
That's smoked. It's never seared. So you don't necessarily need to get that scope. I'm talking optics here already. Scope. You don't need to get that steak up to a smoking hot temperature.
How do you get the bark on it?
Well, you can. So you can do a reverse sear, which is what we do a lot of the times. Is we'll take those steaks and throw them on the grill, and get them up to temperature, and then pull them off and just sear it for 30 seconds on each side to get that crust. But of course, you're not able to do that on that type of grill usually.
Yeah.
So it's not the trigger isn't really good for doing a sear.
For searing. Okay.
But it still is really good for cooking good meat.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed lately the charcoal, because on my charcoal, what I can do is you can push around the coals underneath the grates, so I can have a really hot side. And maybe that thermometer isn't accurate. It's highly likely. However, I do know that the other day I had it cranked to where it said it was at 800, and I put bacon on, and in 30 seconds the bacon had melted and vanished.
Yeah.
And then at that point I realized maybe I don't always have to have it at 800.
Yep.
But you can have it. You can have all the charcoals pushed over to one side, and then you can have a hot side and a cooler side. You can smoke using a charcoal grill. Apparently, I don't know how to do it. It sounds complicated, but apparently you can.
Apparently you can vaporize your meat.
And you can vaporize things real good. You can use lump charcoal. It gets real hot. You can use the regular briquettes. And my new charcoal grill, it takes the worst part of having a charcoal grill out of it. I can actually turn on a little like tiny propane thing that has one burner inside, and then I push a button, and then it lights up, and then it lights my charcoal for me, so I don't have to sit there.
I feel like you've got the propane. You've added an extra step.
Well, here's what it reminds me of: electric cars and the charging stations. You know, there's a big old diesel generator running that side.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. It is like that. But I do enjoy the charcoal. Plus, I feel when I'm cooking on charcoal, I just feel a little bit more mountain man.
I think one of the things where it boils down to. Okay, like when I moved here 6 years ago or whatever that was when we moved down, I had no kids and my wife was going to school in 2 hours away. I was cooking on charcoal all the time.
Master, man.
Yep.
Grill master.
Yep.
I'm sitting out there. What else am I going to do? I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to come back.
It's true. It's the
I'm going
ultimate
to go to the
bachelor
range.
grill.
It's the ultimate bachelor grill because there's no time constraints.
Yep.
But if I got to babysit a grill, I don't have to babysit a Traeger. If I got to babysit a grill, there better not be 3 kids running around like there are right now.
Well, that's
fair.
That's just it, and that's why I was going to bring up. Well, I've always cooked, not always, but oftentimes, most often cooked on.
What?
Get this away from me. I'm an advocate.
He's hit.
I don't know what happened. The monster's in control now.
I think there's gasoline in this thing. I'm an advocate for gas because it is.
You just had a misfire.
Efficient. Yeah, spark plug.
Backfire, yeah. Okay, propane.
2 little kids, not a lot of time.
Yeah.
Propane, you burn hot and fast. You don't have to babysit it like you said. You go turn it on, you throw your steaks on, you get that nice bark crust. Your steak's done in 12 minutes tops, and that's a thick steak.
Yeah, that's.
I'm saying a thick steak, 6 minutes per side.
See, if I'm cooking a steak,
Okay,
I
all
want
right.
that outside crusty, and I want the inside. Like, if I give it a shot of penicillin, we might be able to bring it back to life.
I like that.
I agree with you.
So that
is the way
so I
to
think
do it.
that is about probably 3 to 4 minutes per side.
But you gotta
you
gotta hit it with like the right.
A little off topic here.
I find 6 minutes is like a medium, a true medium.
A little off topic,
all right.
but America's Test Kitchen does a lot of stuff where they do things like 100 different ways, and they find out what the people like the best.
Awesome show.
Yeah. If you look at what America's Test Kitchen does and what a lot of chefs have adopted now is cooking steaks for a maximum of 60 seconds per side and then flip it and then go back and then go back.
Really?
And creates-
I am not a
Creates
flipper.
flipping it.
Yep. Every 60 seconds you flip it.
Oh wow!
I
I'd
get
always
freaked out.
heard.
I'm gonna like damage it.
I've always heard so many times from from people where they're
No,
like,
burgers,
"Oh, you
burgers
need-"
are different.
Okay.
Burgers where you leave that thing until it's firm enough
Why
to flip
is
it.
that?
I've always heard,
Well, it's 'cause
if you're
it's
looking, you're not.
meat.
I've always heard if you're
So
looking,
it's
you're not
helping it
cooking.
form up.
Yeah,
You
so
know what I mean?
60 seconds aside until you get to that internal temperature, and you should do yourself a favor and get an internal temperature guide for this doneness of steaks. and look at using a thermometer, or you can do the touch test, which is thumb, pointer finger, pad of your hand here. That's rare.
It works.
Middle finger is medium rare. That's medium well, and that's done.
Yeah,
well
pinky to thumb, ring finger to thumb. All right,
Yep.
Ryan. Yep.
Vortex Nation Test Kitchen.
Vortex Nation Test Kitchen. I think that's a good idea. I guess we didn't determine what grill was best, but hey, you got options.
You learned.
I feel like I talked the whole time. I'm sorry.
Rube, you did good.
I apologize for my outburst.
You had a
Mark,
misfire.
let's try not to do that on this next topic, which MC Ryan is going to be bringing up.
Like, I'm the captain now.
I don't actually know how many topics we have left. MC Ryan can probably tell me at some point.
I think we have
what are
2,
on?
Jim.
We have 2 left. Okay. Topic 5, crazy warranty stories. So, Vortex Optics, as many of you know, has the VIP warranty, and it pretty much covers everything except loss or theft or intentional damage. And the intentional damage thing is just kind of like, why would you do that? Anyway, but we've seen many things. We've seen bears chewing on products. We've seen things dropped in campfires. I don't know if we've seen them dropped in grills, but we've seen them shot in burning airplanes, run over by lawnmowers. I don't know. It's all happened. So sometimes people ask us what some of the craziest ones are. Who's got a really good one?
I've got one
off the bat. And, all right, Ryan.
We recall the California wildfires of 2 years ago. What was called the Camp Fire, I believe, is what the official was. Swept through a lot of wine country.
Yes.
We received on more than one occasion optics back that had melted and blended with wine bottles.
Oh my gosh! Wait,
Fancy.
what? Wait. So I also want to know, why are so many people keeping the optics in the wine cellar?
I don't know.
Oh, they're both glass.
I guess.
Do you have to keep it
What
at
are
a
they-
specific angle?
They're always
for
mounted to
optimal?
guns that had 3 safety positions for some reason.
Yeah, wouldn't you say? See what you say.
So
there.
what did they look like?
Well,
when
it
you
was
did
like
that?
a
Were they
large
like
amalgamation of melted glass
Yeah.
and then optical components. So we had lens elements and then metal parts and things
That's
like
kinda
this.
neat.
Really,
I mean, in terrible fashion
Yeah.
as to how it happened, but
Yeah.
interesting.
and then on kind of a similar direction here with natural disasters, hurricanes. And tropical storms that have hit various parts of our country, and specifically hurricanes in, Florida, Louisiana, and up the eastern seaboard there, like rangefinders and binoculars that had been exposed to large quantities of now inland push seawater and submerged for weeks and possibly months at a time before recovery operations could go in. Folks digging through their devastated and ravaged homes to find their product had been submerged in this rank, brackish water. And, covered from that.
Poop water.
Yeah, poop water.
Yeah.
Okay.
At that point, it literally is like a biohazard.
Correct. And I think we've had them shipped in bio bags.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember seeing some of those come
Yep.
in. A guy with a Strike Eagle sent one, and I remember I think we even have a video about that one. But yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so one thing that folks, when they call, they're like, well, what does your warranty cover? And we go over the last thing that we're concerned about is I guess what it's going to take or cost us to get your life back up and running. When you've got a product that you've spent your money on and your time on and you've invested in, and a natural disaster comes, this should not disqualify you.
I think
right.
I had a customer talking a couple months ago I was talking to, and he said the best part about your warranty is that it covers me. He's
Oh
like,
yeah. Regardless
We're
of
not worried about what happened. We're worried about taking care of the person.
Right. Well, and you talk about natural disaster. I mean, something so disruptive, right?
Yeah.
And catastrophic. Nice to not have to worry about
Your
that.
your
So-
life is ruined, and the last thing you have to worry about is buying a new scope for your favorite hunting rifle.
Yeah. Getting into some more examples, I remember seeing one that we got sent in to us, and somehow now, and my memory gets all muddled because you'd be amazed at how many rifle scopes I've seen shot, which is kind of ironic when your rifle scope, the thing that helps you aim a barrel that's in front of the rifle scope, is also getting shot by some. Usually, it's not the same rifle because otherwise you're bending bullets like that one movie. But this rifle scope got shot straight in the objective bell. Right in the objective bell, if you know what I mean. And there's a ring. You notice if you look at the end of a rifle scope, the objective bell sort of extends beyond the actual objective lens inside of it, and so that part got hit. And you could see that there was some evidence of cracking and stuff going on the objective lens. And this big bend of aluminum around the housing goes right in front of it and directly in the middle of it. It's totally obstructing the objective lens. And you'd think, yeah, that thing's toast. There's no way you're going to be able to see through it, look through it, anything. Well, if you look through the optic, it looked perfect. Not a single thing was in the view. You couldn't see any shadow, black, nothing. You would think that you'd be seeing this big, giant bend of black metal in front of you, but nothing. And I remember asking the engineers why that was, and they were explaining that if you look at all the points of light that an optic is essentially sucking in from its vista, and all those points of light, of which there are many, and then you bring it up real close, and especially something that's really close to the optic, that thing in there, and then it all gets focused down onto one focal point, one tiny little focal point inside the optic, and then sent through the optical system.
Wait, are you saying that a rifle scope is a black hole?
Yes. Well, anyway, as it brings all that in, then the obstruction that's directly in front of the objective lens is such a small percentage, basically, of all the light that's coming into the scope that it almost all but disappears. That's kind of my best explanation. It's probably not perfect. An optical engineer could correct me, I'm sure, on anything that I got wrong there. But you could still use the scope. Actually, in fact, we went out. Ryan, you shot that scope.
With a stick in it.
With a stick sticking out of it, too.
Yeah. We call it the device.
Yeah, the device. Yes.
What was the stick for?
Insert the device
There's
just
a hole
to show
through it.
just to show that there was like a
clean
hole
through.
through.
Clean
okay.
through. Like
Yeah.
I do remember seeing that metal in front of it. It was like a darn magic trick when you look through the optic, though.
Yeah, and then the parallax was a little jacked, I remember.
Yeah.
Because that objective cell had been hit, but it worked. You could actually shoot. We shot out to like 400 yards.
Yeah. And then that was about it, though. We lost that parallax. And
was
Yeah.
fun.
It wasn't perfectly waterproofed anymore, too, so it has to be covered at that point.
Do you
so.
suppose, James, that is the same place where your bacon disappeared to?
I think my bacon was
aim a
sucked up
scope
by an
at it.
objective bell. It was sucked up by an objective bell. Yes. I wanted to also talk about one that I remember because I stayed late one day, and this isn't to brag on myself staying late, but I just happened to be here late, and Ryan Muckenhirn was on the phone with a guy in Alaska who had just catastrophically banged the heck out of his rifle scope. And do you remember this? You were talking with him late at night because it wasn't late over in Alaska or whatever where he was. He was out on a hunt. The whole thing was like just wrecked inside the rings, and he's in the middle of nowhere, Alaska. And you had to talk him through. We figured out that actually the reticle, even though the scope was just completely screwed up, the reticle was like cemented, like lodged in place. So it wouldn't move even when he shot. And you helped him figure out over the phone, before we warrantied it because he was still out on this hunt of a lifetime, you helped him figure out where to hold on the reticle to get a decent shot at like, I think it was 50 yards or something like that. Because he could still see through it. He like dropped it off of like a rock face or something. Do you remember that? You talked through it with the guy, and you were like, okay, take a shot and aim at a rock. You were like, aim at a rock in front of you. And he's in the middle of the wilderness somewhere, and he aimed at the rock, and you're like, now where did your bullet hole land? And you're doing the ballistics calculator stuff back here, and then he was telling you that, and you were like, now I want you to hold over on this hash mark on your reticle and this one, and we actually established a 0 with him, even though the whole thing was.
Was he hunting moose?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. I remember
it was bear or moose, and yeah.
And he had, it was funny because he sent us a picture then of his pickup point, which was on like a sandbar. Later, like, hey, thanks for saving my hunt. It was really rad.
Was he solo?
Yeah.
My goodness. How did he, was he on a sat phone?
No, I think he had cell coverage.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. No, I do remember that. It was right when we got into this building.
Yeah, it was right on the. It was right on the transition.
Yep. That's funny. Maybe wild. It was spring bear then. I'm trying to remember. I want to remember the gun because I always remember the gun. Yeah, no, I do remember that guy. That was funny. That was and crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was wild. I couldn't believe that we actually. Yeah. Somehow it just.
The salvage stories, like when the guy's on the hunt, and it's a real thing. Like I think people see some of our ads and like, they won't really do that. If you're listening to this and you end up in a catastrophic position, please call us. We would like to work through it and get you up and running.
We will take care of you.
Yeah,
We're very serious about that.
If the phone lines aren't open, hit us up on Instagram or Reddit. Chances are somebody's on.
Right.
Do you remember that guy that accidentally loaded H110 instead of H1000?
In his 338?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was the guy that was going to talk to you. 338 Lapua. So there's pistol powder and there's rifle powder. They are very different things.
The barrels are very different lengths.
And
Kablooey.
so H110 is really good in short barrels and fast moving stuff. We're going to say 300 Blackout, for example, or
pistol.
357, whatever. Do not put 127 grains of H110 inside of a 338 Lapua and seat a 300 grain Sierra Match King over the top of it.
Sounds like dynamite.
I remember asking, like, the first thing I did when we saw that scope was like, is the guy okay?
Yeah.
Like, that's the first
And
concern.
I think there was a little bit of hand
Some
damage that went on.
and some nerve damage.
Oh, I thought you were going to say hand in the scope.
No, the scope just had a
like,
dent on the bottom of the objective bell.
Amazing.
The rifle, the
Jiminy
action
Christmas.
was blown apart.
Yep.
And the barrel was split all the way down to the end. But
Like you said, thank God.
That's why you get a good set of rings.
guy
That's why you get a
lived.
high quality set of rings.
Action screws
not true.
on that.
You
I'm
don't
just
think so?
kidding. No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what an asshole.
Action screws on that rifle blew through. So this was an 840 action screw, which Reuben from his fastener days can attest to the sheer strength of an 840 in a steel alloy.
Well, compared to a 632, yeah.
Blown through the top of the receiver into the bottom of the scope, left a crater, and the screw stuck.
Yeah.
We are talking about
We're talking a
some
little,
force.
like a small screw
Yeah.
that literally shot into the scope.
Yep. Projectile.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It
Amazing.
was a grenade.
Eric, you went like this.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the guy who dropped his spotter off the side of a cliff and like went down, found it, and used like a stick and electrical
splint.
tape as a splint to put the thing back together.
You can still use it.
Finished it as his hunt and actually used it to glass up the buck that he killed. Like
Yep.
it was wild.
I gotta
awesome.
give a shout out to Jeremy Moore
Oh, yeah.
when he
Rest in peace,
the
Toyota.
guy from Texas that's a really good friend of ours. He made the jump when Ryan and myself, well, actually when you were at Nordic, made the jump and invested in a ton of Vortex stuff. We're talking like 20 different pieces, rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes. He runs a shooting range and had a bunch of spotting scopes for different matches and events, and left his brand new Tundra parked out in a field, and the exhaust caught fire, burned the entire truck down. And he was like, guys, I don't know what to do. And we're like, well, I mean, call your insurance company for sure. They'll probably take. He's like, no, all my optics were in there. And so we said, send us a bag of whatever's left and an invoice of whatever you bought from the dealer. And we just
Pieced it
replaced
together.
off of that.
Boom.
Like a
That's
puzzle.
it. That's what it takes. Cool. Excellent stuff. Mark,
I
what?
didn't get to do one. We're over time.
Open us on the next one. We're over time, man.
All right, let's go.
right.
Bam.
Ryan, well, hold on. We don't know what we're going to talk about next.
I know what we're going. It's the only one left. I brought
MC
my
Ryan's
list.
got to bring it up. Just wait for it to hit the screen. Okay. All right.
Oh.
Mark, this is basically Mark versus Ryan Muckenhirn almost, but I know that some of us will also get our points in. Whitetail versus Mule Deer. Mark, open.
Is this a who's better?
Yeah. I mean,
Who's better, what's
obviously,
better?
what's better, whitetail or mule deer? Whitetail versus mule deer.
It is whatever it is to you.
Here's the deal.
It is
I
a who's
love all
better.
the deers. I like to catch all the deers.
There's
However,
an award
if
called a
you-
Boardman.
Mark,
If-
we're not here to keep
Be
friends.
diplomatic,
Yeah, we're not
yeah.
here to
Let's
be
throw some
politicians. We
elbows.
want enemies.
if I were to pick, now everybody
Gloves
knows
are off.
I'm from Washington State. I'm from as far west as it gets. And actually, if we were going to throw in a little deer I like to call the Columbia blacktail, this would be maybe a little bit of a different story. But we're doing whitetail versus mule deer right now.
Ryan looks like he's about to arm wrestle Mark.
I love
would
them
never.
both for different reasons. However,
Diplomatic.
if you were to make me pick one, whitetail deer.
Boom. Okay. Mark calls whitetail the carp of the fields.
I call Mark. I call
I mean,
Mark.
Ryan says that.
Ryan calls
Dude,
whitetail
that
the
is
carp
so
of the
offensive.
fields. Yes, that is offensive. Ryan.
disrespectful.
Explain yourself.
I mean, that's disrespectful.
Okay, back it up.
You back it up.
You know what? Why don't you come across this table and tell me to back it up?
I'm as aggressive as a whitetail buck, and guess what? I'll edge
That
you
is-
out of your habitat.
Good for you, invasive species, much like common carp from Asia.
Invasive?
Oh, all right. So hold on. You haven't said
Guys.
much about how great the mule deer is yet.
Okay,
All
so-
you've said is how carpy the
First of
whitetail
all-
is.
Yeah.
First
well,
of
he
all-
just points the finger.
To
Yeah,
quote
yeah.
Mark Boardman, mule deer, the king of deers. Thank you.
Okay.
Whitetail, the banquet deer. Thank you. Anyway, I like mule deer because they inhabit such regal landscapes. Now, so do whitetails. There's something though that we have to back up a little
Is there a
bit.
mule deer on the North Shore of Minnesota?
Unfortunately, not.
So not,
I don't like how
not
you
that
use my
good.
own words against me.
Just blew you up.
like a politician. So I okay, where I'm from, Minnesota, deer hunting is a very different thing than a lot of other places. In Minnesota, deer hunting for me was going to up north with my dad after shooting at a pie plate with a rifle. And if you hit the pie plate, you were good enough, and you sit in a stand for 7 hours a day for 4 days, a deer may walk by, you shoot it at 35 yards. You've concluded the adventure. So I was never much of a deer hunter until about 2007, or I shouldn't say a compassionate deer hunter. I hunted deer often, was successful often, but never like put a ton of energy and effort and time into hunting deer because it was very lackluster. You sat there, it walked by, you zapped it, you walked out. That was kind of the end of it.
That's
right?
a pretty small subset. Though.
I know, but
Yeah, look at the. Hey, that's a whitetail right there, and you know the adventure behind that one.
I'm getting there.
Yes, well, I'm about to get there too.
So for me, you're about to arrive, are you, Mark? So for me, it was never, whitetails were never an adventurous thing. A couple other caveats. I was not a, quote, bow hunter. I hunted with a bow. I was not a bow hunter. There is a huge difference. I bought a bow. I had arrows for it. I shot it at my Glendale buck. That was it. Went up a tree on 2 occasions, arrowed whitetail deers. And that was it.
Okay.
Enter Western hunting. 2007 for me. My first mule deer was December 1st or 2nd. I'd have to look back at my logs. I'm hunting.
This guy has logs.
I'm hunting vistas I've never seen. I'm chasing deer in environments that remind me of when Tyrannosaurus Rex inhabited the earth. And I'm chasing this amazing species with these huge donkey ears and these short legs that bound through the landscape. And it was just such an adrenaline rush to chase these goofy critters. And I think back to my up north whitetails walking by the trail. Oh, there they come.
Oh,
How far? Rangefinder? Don't need one. 35 yards. Blouch! Like shooting a domesticated animal.
oh
My.
Jesus.
Here, Eric, drink this.
Yeah, it'll set you ablaze.
A couple.
tweaked.
Listen, a full admission to the listeners of this podcast. I have a tremendously different viewpoint on whitetail hunting since starting here at Vortex and living in Wisconsin, because there's one thing that Wisconsin does, and that's whitetails. And they do it way better than Minnesota can.
Oh,
Yeah.
Whoa, I've never heard
Shots
Ryan
fired.
say anything like
When
that.
I moved
before.
out
Not
here,
even close,
and I,
actually,
and
for
I
sure.
start talking to people that work at this company, and I'm going to pick on our photographer, the Dark Horse.
That guy.
Shall remain nameless.
yeah, he shall.
Bow hunting is a culture out here. It's a thing. And I'm not taking away from any diehard bow hunters in Minnesota or Michigan or Iowa or any other states that I don't inhabit, but I have inhabited Minnesota and I do inhabit Wisconsin now. The whitetail management out here and the culture surrounding the taking of old, mature, trophy class deer is something that where I'm from and in the
It's brown,
circles I
it's
ran
down.
with, doesn't exist. To shoot a whitetail in an 140-inch class in the territories that I hunted was unheard of. They're on walls. That's it. You're like, where did you get that buck? And they tell you I shot it up by Grigla. And they're like, no kidding. It's a different thing.
It's a different mindset from the hunter too. Having patience and discipline
Yes.
that doesn't really exist in a lot of places.
Because you
where
have
we grew
4
up.
days.
Yeah.
You have 4 days. You have a Saturday, Sunday, and then the following Saturday, Sunday, if you're lucky and your dad lets you.
Different this year, but
Yeah.
I'm
And-
gonna say two things
Yeah.
real quick. One, when I'm talking about whitetails versus mule deer, I am thinking mentally bow hunting, whitetails versus rifle hunting, mule deer.
I would agree.
Now, and I'll add to that though, one thing that I also like about whitetails in general is that I can have, like we're talking about, a lot of their habitats overlap, right? So you can have a very similar hunt like we did. You, me, Jim,
Very
Ryan,
Western,
myself.
to quote
Yes,
Mark.
there were mule deer
in
there.
Nebraska. We saw mule deer.
The mule deer were by the parking lot, and the whitetail were down in the field that we had
Yeah,
to
Ryan,
hike around
explain
13
this.
miles for.
I think. Are you done?
Well, I am done, but I do also
I have
finish your
thoughts,
thought
too.
because I know
Holy
Eric is
crap.
fired up and he's got 3 minutes. And
Okay,
that's,
so one quick thing. Hunting, just like in Waterboy, hunting is what you make it. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
for me, all right,
sweating.
A couple years ago, I had some family health issues, all right? I couldn't make a hunt that I was going to go out. I was going to hunt some property in Montana that I've been hunting for a long time. And so I put my pack on, and I went to Minnesota muzzleloader season, southeastern zone by La Crosse, Wisconsin. I put my pack on, and I hiked up and down the bluffs for 2 days straight, and I shot a doe with my muzzleloader.
Heck yeah.
In 1.5 feet of snow, and I quartered it, and I packed it out. So I don't like particularly the culture of sitting in a stand with a 30-06 and shooting a deer at 25 feet.
Great cartridge.
But I also
I still like doing that.
But I'll do it because we eat 6-7 deer a year in my house. But still, you can do a lot of different things with a whitetail, just like you guys did in Nebraska.
Yeah, Eric.
I vote we give Eric another 10 minutes. Go.
Okay, I have two things here. Two big things. One, personality based. Whitetails are, you alluded to how they're so aggressive.
They're pretty wily.
And I'm not talking about the fact that they push mule deer out of their habitat. I'm talking about the fact that if you snort wheeze at a buck this time of year, he will literally roll his eyes back in his head, bristle up like a boxer who's ready to knock your clock off, and sway in from left to right into bow range until he either
Can
wins
you give us a snort wheeze real quick?
Oh, that's a good one.
Very nice, very nice.
So there's that. I have a very limited amount of experience hunting mule deer. I have not seen mule deer get that aggressive when it comes to vocalizations. The other thing, Ryan, you touched on it a little bit when it comes to like there are deer, and then there are deer that have seen some crap. Especially here in the Midwest, we have 500,000 hunters out there every year. I shot a deer last year that and he was an old, fully mature buck. When I was processing him, he had a broadhead in his like kind of that no man's land just under his back strap, and he had a tine wound in his rear end. And I just think about the fact that deer had probably been shot at, had probably been bumped out. Deer, whitetails, and this is part of the interesting thing with them. Whitetails live with us. Mule deer live on their own. They live in that regal landscape like you described.
You ever heard of mountain lions and cactus?
No.
I was just wondering. Go ahead.
So a whitetail tolerates a lot of pressure and can withstand being shot at, being spooked, and still live to these super mature ages. And the fact that they can get that old despite being shot at like crazy, it amazes me.
Mule deer, I mean, it's like you just look at them funny and they drop dead.
Well, there are less hunters. There are less hunters.
I think we got to give Ryan a counterpoint.
All right.
I actually like whitetails a lot.
And I love mule deer.
Yep. I do too.
Aw, we're all friends
Let's build some bridges here.
Hey, look
I want to say something real quick about whitetails, though.
I want it dead and on my grill. Don't matter what it looks like when it's walking.
On your gas grill. Whitetail hunting, to me, like, I love mule deer, and I love the landscapes and the places that it takes you and the adventure, but I also like the accessibility, the fact that you can be in whitetail country and you can be hunting, and you know what? Even though I like these other adventurous hunts that are like this giant production, not that you can't have the same thing while whitetail hunting, but
true that.
Within a half hour, I can go and be in a stand or on a piece of public or whatever, and I can be hunting deer. And sometimes I like that it's not a giant production.
And I hang out with the family at night.
I will say,
and you're home at night.
When I picture a mule deer, I like to, naturally put human voices to animals at times. When I picture a mule deer, I always picture it as kind of like, oh, hello, am I in your space? Would you like me to move? Okay, I'll just prance over here. And then when I picture a whitetail, I picture like Green Street Hooligans.
Mule deer wear a tuxedo, whitetails wear a jean jacket.
Hey,
that's
Bobby.
cool.
Yeah.
When I think of mule deer, I think of Sam Elliott's voice. And when I think of
that's
Sam Elliott, is that the same guy who does Green Eggs and Ham? Does he narrate Dr. Seuss books?
I don't know.
I think that guy's name is Sam too.
Doesn't he do like the Dodge commercials?
That's Sam Houston.
When I think of whitetails,
who's Sam Elliott?
I think of just.
I'm terrible with celebrities.
He's an actor, man's man, like a Tom Selleck.
Who does he
does
play?
a lot
He's
of
like Tom
voiceover.
Selleck.
Okay.
He sits there a lot like this.
Strong mustache.
Did you ever see Parks and Recreation?
Yeah.
He was
the other Ron.
Yeah, the other Ron.
Oh, okay.
He just did a commercial for like Wyoming or something. He's like big open valleys and large expanses.
That's Alan Alcorn.
I tell you what.
Shout out to Alan Alcorn at AA Optics. What were you?
What he had done.
Now, okay,
I'm so sweaty, it's
apparently we've
insane.
learned Sam Elliott's voice.
Welcome to Montana.
You want a
Who is
nice,
the
you
voice
want a
of
nice,
Whitetail?
you want a nice. Well, I mean, it's my dad. Oh, we're going up north. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right. What were you going to say to close us out here on this last topic?
You want an amazing hunt that's extremely frustrating? Go chase western whitetails.
Yeah.
They don't stop.
No, that's the truth. Okay, with that said, we went over 10 minutes on every single one of these,
Sorry,
so
Ryan.
it is what it is. But thank you all. A huge thank you
That was it?
to all of you.
Wait.
Ouch.
Holy smokes.
We are the captain now.
What?
We are the captain now.
Buckle in.
This
sit
whole
back.
time.
Where did that come from?
Just wait a minute.
What is this,
Wait a
a
minute.
ploy?
For 100 episodes, we've sat on this side of the table, and you two have run the show. We want to welcome you to the 100th episode.
What the heck is this?
I didn't
What's
think I could
going
yell that
on?
loud. I'm
Bonus
sorry.
edition.
I'll tell
This
you.
is
listen,
genuine surprise. What,
This is
these
not
are party
a joke.
poppers.
No,
What
I don't
is
think
this?
you can. Can they run them? Can
How
they
do
run
these
'em?
work?
Okay.
Can we run?
For everybody watching,
To
I'm gonna.
use,
So this is an
rotate
explosive
base.
device.
Oh,
What the heck is it? What is this?
oh,
Whoa! What is happening?
Well, see the leprechaun say yeah.
How do you make it work
Mark,
there?
Mark, what is this?
I don't know.
Here, just twist. Grab at the base and twist.
That's what I was doing.
What?
Hang on, wait, let me film you.
Okay, so
Wait.
yeah, it's it's actually
Hold it.
That's what I'm
clockwise if
doing.
you're looking
There
down
she
at it.
goes.
Oh wow,
You
look at that.
popped her.
That's cool.
How do you like
What
that?
just happened?
We are the captain now.
Yeah, we're the captain now. So for a couple of weeks, we've been.
Oh, that was a good crunch.
That was
You
a
guys.
super good crunch. We've been preparing.
100th episode. Look at this. Oh my gosh, chips.
Can I have some cake?
Oh, that's
and
right.
salsa.
The cake.
This is a
All right.
burrito and taco cake.
Take it away, Ryan. 'Cause
Okay.
There are some questions.
You
that
guys
need to
have
be
had the
asked.
opportunity to ask us a series of questions over the past 100 episodes,
Yep.
and we've been at your mercy.
That's because you guys know more stuff.
That's
Well,
because
listen, we're turning the
basically
tables,
morons.
and we are going to ask you a series of questions, and we're very excited for the answers that you're going to provide. So, Reuben, I've got you keyed up to ask the first, and it's that one. So,
Okay.
yeah, go for it.
Mark, this question comes from me and a lot of people who are wondering what the heck is going on. But you need to answer to us. What are the true benefits of the 300 short mag, and why are you so dang stuck on it, even though superior cartridges come along with less recoil?
Well, to quote Ryan Muckenhirn, it's a modern gentleman's 30-06.
Yeah, we just passed the buck there.
Yep.
I love it. It's a short action cartridge.
We just talked about how great the 30-06
I
is.
can
It's
get
better.
it. I can get it in a. And I love the 30-06. You get it in a light handy rifle.
It's got a lot of fluff to it.
It's fast. It's, in my opinion, equivalent to the standard 300 Win Mag. People like to talk about the fact that, what if you forget your ammo? It's not as common as a standard 300. I always like to ask, have you ever forgotten your ammo? And
Yes.
not only that, during an ammo
Where's your
crisis,
glove?
during an ammo crisis,
Did you listen to the 3-gun thing? Preparedness.
Boy Scout motto.
be prepared. During an
This
ammo
isn't an
crisis,
attack.
when we
I think people just want to know.
Yeah.
well, I'm giving you my reasons. You know what? And I feel like I do get attacked for liking the 300 short.
There are a lot of questions here that
Okay.
need to be asked.
All right.
All right, give me one more sec. During an ammo crisis, when there was no ammo on the shelf, the 300 Wisdom was just popular enough that stores had to carry it, but not popular enough that people bought it. So I could always get it, and the 300 Win Mag was out.
Next.
And I love it. And plus, I love it.
I've got one for you, Mark. This one I hold near and dear to my heart, and not a lot of people know this. So, listeners, Mark has got kind of a secret nickname. It's like a secret menu item here. It's called Mark, Where's My Glove, Boardman. For the listeners, could you recant the story?
I mean, is it the fact that I have about 30 right gloves? It just has to do with the fact, in my opinion, at least this is where I derive it
Added
from,
that
unless
in the
you've got
11th
something
hour.
else, Ryan. My archery release goes on my right hand, therefore my right glove is generally tethered to my arm, where my left glove, if I need to operate my phone or do something else where I need the dexterity of having my actual fingers out, gets misplaced.
Okay. So
Frequently.
I'll tell you the story in a nutshell for the listeners.
Oh, wait. Yes. I forgot
Okay, so
about
now
that
you know the
too.
story.
I forgot.
Ah, convenient. Would you like to tell it or would you like me to tell it?
You'll probably tell it better.
Okay, Mark and
I told
I
the
are on
wrong
a
story.
Missouri alternative weapons hunt in January. And to talk about cold, it was 27 ambient below. It was unreal. We go out for an evening sit, and Boardman packs an insurmountable amount of gear.
I don't
sporting
know what
goods
you're talking- I had one backpack.
This is nothing new.
No.
This is nothing
So
new.
somebody-
Mark is always overpacked.
He's exaggerating.
No, we're going to queue up a picture of your giant duffel bag, which, by the way, can fit 6 people in. Anyway,
Well, I didn't have it with us.
so we have this big production, which Mark is trying to get ready and get
Oh
prepped
my
up.
gosh! I should have
He's-
told the story. This is not true.
This is very true.
It is true, but
is,
after Ryan tells it, we're moving on.
he is up and running, maybe a little bit late. Anyway, we go out to the spot. Everything's going. We get our guns loaded. We shut the hatch on my SUV, and Mark goes, "Where's my glove?" And we spend the next 10, 15 minutes digging through the truck, looking in the snow, the bushes. Did an eagle carry it away? The hunt is
the most likely scenario.
The hunt, he's like, I don't know what I can do, and I'm like,
Where Mark also gets really mad
like an old
in
car
these
horn.
situations.
Well, because I'm mad at myself.
You always get
I'm like-
very mad.
I'm like, I
It's
will
like
give you
scary.
my gloves. We need to hunt. We have limited time. It's very cold. And he's like, no, I need my gloves.
Well, when it's 27
This is
below,
so
you should probably
typical.
have a glove on.
This is
Ladies
so
and gentlemen, Mark's glove, after a few minutes of searching, was located in his waist belt. He had tucked it conveniently behind his muff to keep his hand warm so that he could load his muzzleloader. That was it.
I have one for Jimmy.
Pretty long.
Ooh.
Jimmy, if the Viper PST Gen 2 2-10x32 was a car, what would it be? Please provide a detailed response.
The Viper PST Gen 2 2-10x32. If it were a car, it would be a BMW M6. Now, here's my reasoning behind that. BMW M6, it's based on the 6 Series, which is based on the 5 Series. The 6 Series is a coupe, if you will. So it's 2 doors based on a 4-door 5 Series, right? So that's how it works. Really, the only difference between the two is how many doors they have. The 5 Series, as you've seen, there's the M5. It's the super sedan out there. It's actually one of the fastest cars to 60 in America. I don't even actually know. Do they even have a 2-door M6 anymore? Anyway, they used to. It was pretty sweet. And the thing that was so cool about the M6 was that being a 2-door, it had that sporty coupe look. It really could, it could go around corners decently well. But also, it was a great grand touring car, so it could make the long-distance journeys quite well, indeed, as well. I was just struggling for the words there.
As well.
As well.
Indeed, as well.
So you had a 2-door coupe that was kind of sporty, could go around corners all right, like a low-power variable.
Yep.
Close-up stuff. And you also have a grand tourer, which could travel long distances, like a longer distance scope. So that is the car that I would choose. Particularly, I would choose the E60 something or another 2-door with the V10.
Spoken exactly like I imagined.
Beautiful. Really
As well.
James, real quick, this answer will dictate the fate of humanity.
Okay.
SpongeBob or The Simpsons?
SpongeBob.
Now, hold on. There can only be one, and why?
SpongeBob. Okay, I get.
That's
Simpsons.
an era thing.
Simpsons has been on forever, right? So, and I'm not just ignoring the fact that a lot of our culture and comedy in today's day and age has been dictated by The Simpsons, right? I mean, The Simpsons was a very pioneering show in its day, and now it's still around for a good reason. That said, I find that SpongeBob is a more versatile show because as a kid, I enjoyed SpongeBob. My parents let me watch SpongeBob, whereas Simpsons, I had to grow up a little bit before they let me watch it. So I could watch SpongeBob as a kid, but also all my older brothers and my parents could watch it as well, and they enjoyed it just as much as I did because there are some subtle adult-esque humor jokes that happen in SpongeBob that kids are none the wiser to, but they just laugh at it anyways because mom and dad are laughing.
The chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. So you have these moments in SpongeBob, but the problem with SpongeBob is that the creator of SpongeBob, Steven Hillenburg, brilliant man. He was an animator. He was a voice actor. He was a marine biologist. He was a professor of marine biology. He was a producer. He was basically everything. He was basically like a really brilliant person who was probably super bored. He's the guy who started SpongeBob by teaching his marine biology students in their class about different characters under the sea by developing his own characters on the whiteboard. He had Sponge Boy, and then his best friend was a starfish or something like that, and then people told him he should make it into a show. Yes, Patrick. And so he ended up doing that, and he was around for the first 4 seasons, right? And after the first 4 seasons, you have this first SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which was a phenomenal film. You should go see it if you haven't seen it yet. Also get some precursor by watching the actual first 4 seasons. The problem was, after he left, it went way downhill. And they just lost a lot of the creativity of somebody so brilliant who could make a show so entertaining for both kids and adults. So you only have 4 good seasons of SpongeBob in a movie, whereas with The Simpsons, you have many, 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 many more good seasons. But I have no doubt that if SpongeBob were to go on for as many seasons as The Simpsons did with the original creator, Steven Hillenburg, then it would be better.
Fascinating.
Mm-hmm. I do have one last one for Mark. You must answer this question. This is quite possibly the only opportunity that I have for you to answer this question.
I'm not going to tell you where I shot that deer.
Okay, second question. When we were packing up after a week of hunting spring bears in Idaho, I broke out in song. I started singing to you, a song that was in my head. You immediately rejected the song and like passionately hated it. Like we went from.
I'm getting agitated with you just thinking, making me remember it. I block it out.
We went from buddies that spent a week of bear hunting together to enemies in a moment.
No, not enemies. I just wanted you to stop singing.
What is the name of that song and who sings it?
I will not tell you ever in your life.
You have to.
Here's what happened.
We are on the air.
Yeah,
No,
you're not going to just not answer. People are listening right now.
No, I'm not. I'm going to tell you why I'm not going
Say
to
I
answer.
refuse in the tune of that song.
No, I won't.
People have literally been listening all this time.
Somebody
They've been
call
waiting
HR.
for. Like we just.
Well, they're
going to
have to continue waiting. Here's the root of this. My brother and I were going deer hunting in the morning. This song came on the radio. I don't know if anybody's ever experienced when a song comes on the radio like early in the morning and it's stuck in your head the rest of your day.
Yeah.
And it was the most, for some reason, it was the most annoying song, and it was in my head the entire day. It had ruined an entire day of deer hunting. Coincidentally, I brought this up to my brother. I go, dude, that stupid song's been in my head the entire day.
He did the same thing to me.
He goes, me too.
No.
And to this day, that song just agitates me.
That same whitetail hunt.
I want to know what song it is.
same
Jameson
whitetail
just
hunt,
came in the room, and so did Catherine. They
I
want
was
to know what song
whistling
it is.
in
Well,
the
the world's
basement,
gonna
and
have
he
to wait.
freaked out.
Yeah.
What
What
is it?
song is it?
What is it?
YMCA.
Oh, that's another bad one, though.
No, it's like a 70s era song.
Bee Gees, Staying Alive.
You'll guess it some.
Okay,
Oh my
girl.
gosh,
Here's
that's
the
another
thing.
one that would do that.
It's a school bus song. My school bus that took me to school, my bus driver would play it, and that's where I heard it, and it was stuck in my head.
Say the song.
What is the song?
And we weren't enemies. I wasn't mad at
You
you.
know the song. Say the song. Somebody say the song. Somebody say the
Mark.
freaking song.
All eyes on you, man.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Eric, say it. Eric,
No.
come on.
No,
we
no,
have
no.
more.
You
This is
don't
my
know
only
it?
opportunity.
Ryan, what song is it?
Okay,
so
what's your
Mark
other
did the same
question?
thing to me, so I don't know what the song is. but
You
he did
guys
the
are making
same
a
thing
big
to
deal
me.
out of nothing. I just
He
don't
yelled
like
at me.
one
He's
song.
like, great, now that's going to be stuck in my head the whole time I'm sitting in the stand. The whole time, that stupid song.
Yeah,
But
maybe
we
you
Do you
don't
know
know the
what?
song.
Do you know what the song's
No,
name?
I don't.
It should have stood out
Mark,
to you
what
then.
song is it?
I can't. I've tried. Come on, please.
No, it's not. It's a song probably
It's
a lot of
already
other
going to be
people
stuck
like.
in your head the rest of the day,
I know.
no matter if you
That's
say the
happening.
name
That's
or
why I
not.
don't even want to talk about it. It's not even a big deal. Let's just go.
Mark, one more for you.
Why don't you
I mean,
ask Jim,
maybe this will help you calm down a little bit.
ask Jim a question.
Mark, you're on once in a lifetime
ask me.
Alaskan Doll Sheep hunt with both Remy Warren and Steve Ranella. You
Don't
find
make
out
me choose.
You find out about 10 miles in, too far to turn around, into your initial hike that both Steve and Remy forgot to bring a sleeping bag, but you brought an extra one.
Odds are, yeah.
Who do you offer your extra sleeping bag to, given your undeniable man crush on both of these dudes?
Oh, and okay, who do you offer your extra one to, and who do you have sleep in yours with?
Yes.
I guess I have a question for you. Are they the kind that you can zip together? No, I don't know. This is like not. I don't even know why you'd ask this question.
This is a real question.
And I don't have.
This is a real question.
I don't have those. I respect both these gentlemen incredibly highly.
No,
they are the utmost of outdoorsmen in the world.
You have
Welcome
to
to Diplomatic 2019.
My gosh,
I
you
hate
are
it.
seriously a politician. I didn't realize you had such a promising career on Wall Street. What's the place in Washington, D.C.?
I guess
Wall Street.
Capitol Hill.
No, Wall
I
Street.
don't know.
Answer 3. We're gonna figure out a way, either alternate or whatever. But everybody's got to stay warm, for God's sakes.
So someone's a switch hitter?
No,
Alternating 3? What does that even mean?
Where did you guys
guys
find
are
a burrito
twisting
and taco cake?
Jim, which bear is best?
this has gone completely off the rails.
Brown bear.
Really?
Why?
Because it's
Bigger claws.
I forget the Office quote right now. I can't quote it. I can't remember. Thanks, Jameson. Jameson claims I am incorrect.
Then
Black
I
bear.
just have one more. I'm upset that you
All right,
didn't answer
last
Rick's
one.
question.
I'm just not
I
gonna
am
do it.
I'm upset that you didn't answer Ruben's
All right, last
question.
one. Let's see if we can get him to answer something.
Yeah.
I'm not even in this. I didn't even know this was going to happen, but I just want to
You
see
know
Mark
I
answer
don't
something.
have
That's why
the
it's a
answers.
surprise.
Little known fact about Mark Boardman. Don't look at me like you're mad. This is an accolade to you. Little known fact, Mark is a closet rap aficionado and actually spits rhymes with amazing eloquence. Sir, the microphone's yours.
What do you want me to rap about?
Come on. You know we were talking about that Chronic album earlier.
Whenever I do that, there's curse words in it. They just go with
Ryan
certain
can
things.
bleep you out.
Ryan.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
Spaghetti. Come on. There you go.
Reuben was talking about my sweating earlier. Now I really am sweating.
Spaghetti.
You guys make me nervous.
All right, let's eat the cake.
All right, sounds good. Where'd
Taco,
you guys get
burrito.
this, by the way?
What's
Can
that
we-
coming out of your
It's
Speedo?
impressive. Whoever, Ryan, did you make this? MC Ryan made these
You
cakes.
made this.
What?
This is amazing.
No. This
Okay.
is
This is amazing. All right, Eric's already got his headset off. Thanks everybody for lasting 100 episodes with us and all of our nonsense. We appreciate it, and stay tuned for hopefully another 100. All right, bye everybody.
bye.
Excellent.
Hell yeah. That was amazing.
I thought it was.
You guys didn't see that coming, did you?
Hell no.
Probably thought
Eric?
I was losing my
Dude,
mind.
I seriously thought, I was like, Eric, what the hell are you doing right now? Because, what?
I'm not talking about whitetails.
They're
better.
Yeah. I am the captain.
I
I
am
was
the
like,
captain,
okay,
yeah.
he has for sure.
Shut
All right, that'll wrap it up for this episode of the Vortex Nation podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Hit that subscribe button so you can always stay up to date on the latest happenings over here at the Vortex Nation podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at Vortex Nation Podcast. Again, everybody, thanks, and happy hunting and shooting. We appreciate it. Have a good one.